This week on episode 61 of the DCC, we are going to have the Movie News Weekly, which is, we're going to talk about a bunch of different movies that are in development and shows that are in development and some things that have happened with some actors and some casting decisions. And then we're going to talk about how Guillermo del Toro might become Walt Disney, which is weird. But, well, and I think that might be it. No, we're going to talk about some other stuff. Because it's Dapper Day, and I'm jealous of Josh and Andy. This is, when these types of things happen, this is where I'm like, I hate having my friends have such fun in a place that I want to be at, and it's like beautiful weather out now, and then Shannon's just waiting for Jacksepticeye to come to Nashville.
I am. I'm so excited.
So to all who come to this happy place, welcome to the DCC. Or the Tiki DCC. Which, if anyone watched the Saturday live stream at Dapper Day, will get the reference. Yeah. So this is the part where I'm gonna hit the title. Yeah, no, like even with audiobooks, like I had a conversation because I've gotten into audiobooks and
oh, I've noticed.
I've read more books, I think, in like since let's just say this year.
Yeah, congratulations, you discovered my secret.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you can just consume books.
Yeah.
When you listen to them.
This is what I've been telling you.
Because yeah, it is hard to sit down and like get time to read a book. Like, and obviously we all like people can still read books, and I like But if I'm gonna read, I have like a stack of comic books that I've spent hundreds of dollars on that I need to like get through. So
yeah. Well, like that's me like right now, because like I've gotten into this bad habit where I read like 4 books at a time. And this morning, like Alex and I started a new fan fiction last night, and I woke up this morning and I'm like, do I catch up on that, or do I read my ebook, or do I finish Last Shot? And I decided to finish Last Shot. So
nice. And which cover did you get?
Well, it's a reversible cover.
Oh, so it is.
For our YouTube audience here, I will show you. So it comes with the red Han cover, but you can flip it, and it becomes the yellow. Lando cover.
The Lando cover is my faves.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try and flip it. I'm really worried that I'm gonna mess it up. You can actually buy versions though where the flip is reversed, right? Oh yeah, but this is just how mine. This is how mine came. But I think I want to flip it because I fully 100% stan L3 now. I'm very excited to see her in Solo. And this book is like the smuttiest Star Wars book ever. It's absolutely insane, and I love everything about it. It's hilarious and so much fun. Highly recommend. And you basically get to see Baby Ben's baby pictures. It's amazing.
Which is interesting because it then kind of gives you a hint of how far into the movie that like. That's one thing is like we might see a glimpse farther into the future in the movie than we are aware of, right?
I think that a majority of Solo is going to take place. So in Last Shot, there's stuff going on now, like in the now time where Ben's like 2 years old. And then it goes to flashbacks with Lando 15 years before and Han 10 years before. And Solo, I think, takes place kind of in the middle of that. Yeah. Interesting.
Most
of it anyway.
Yeah. So. Well, yeah, because what I'm kind of thinking is that Kira is kind of like the one that will like make him have his like cold heart.
Yeah, well, and like here's the thing, like Han in the beginning of like the stuff when it's like 10 years before is like lovesick on Tokadana, so it's like interesting. Yeah. And I am 100% here for the Kira is Enfys Nest theory, like Mulan, but apparently something just came out that said that actually Enfys Nest is a guy, and now I don't know who to trust.
Oh, yeah. That'd be interesting. Maybe it's Chewbacca. No, I'm kidding. I know that's
it. Totally could be.
Anyway, so lists and reading. So not anyway, but lists and reading. So I make these lists. Like I had a 4-page wish list for Audible, and I was like, this is too much. I need to scale it down. So one of my things is for most of it, I'll just like pick the first of a series in my list, because then if I finish it and I want to continue the series, I have like the reminder there, or if I'm like, oh yeah, that series I want to, but I don't need like all 5 books in my list.
Oh yeah.
But I was asking Mandy, and I want to ask your opinion on this. Should I read a bunch of the first of series and then read each series that if I want, like some I might and some I might not read the series of, and that way I can have like a lot of variety? Or do I read series by series, and like once I like a series, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna commit to a series and then read all of the books in the series?
Well, I would have said just read it series by series, because I used to be like that, where I was like, all right, I just have to pick one and commit. But ever since I get my audiobooks from the library, I know that there's no guarantee that I can do that. So I would just say, like, if something grabs you, go ahead and read the series. But like otherwise, just read as much as you can, man. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I'm debating right now, because I'm reading Thrawn, and it's good. It's kind of weird. It's like a really weird. Who wrote that one?
Timothy Zahn. So
okay. For some reason, I thought Alexander Freed wrote that one too. But I was like, no.
He invented the character Thrawn. It would be like a shame to not have him kind of reintroduce him. Mm-hmm. But it's really cool. You get so basically the idea is that Thrawn had met Anakin Skywalker, and they had like an interaction years ago, and Anakin had mentioned him to the Emperor. And they then happen to, the Empire later on finds Thrawn on this planet, and
he's in Rebels, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I just got to him.
But he's like Grand Admiral Thrawn in Rebels, and in the book he starts off as like this guy living in a forest. Mm-hmm. And like works his way through the Empire, even though the Empire is like racist. Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting, and it's kind of like from multiple perspectives at times, because if it was just from Thrawn's perspective, it would be like really weird. And when it gets into Thrawn's perspective, it's like the character will say something, and then from Thrawn will have like a internal note where it's like he's clenching his like teeth a little harder now, and like he analyzes like all people's subtle movements, and when he tries to like do it to the Emperor, the Emperor doesn't really give much, and just stuff like that. It's just cool.
So basically, I finished Last Shot, and I'm going to read a few more stories out of Certain Point of View, finish Assassin's Blade, and then I'm probably going to, my next like real book is going to be Knife of Never Letting Go. Yeah, probably. We'll see. That's what I want to read next. I don't know if I should, but we'll see.
Oh, so Last Shot has it looks like they have 3 narrators.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's cool.
That's cool.
I didn't know The Last Shot was already had an audiobook ready.
Yeah, I know. It already had it like on day 1. It's insane.
Adding that to
really
the list.
Good. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I was going to add that to the list anyway. So
yeah, and for anybody who wants to know, on my book review channel this week, all we're talking about is Last Shot. So buckle up. It's exciting.
Awesome. Sweet. You know, it's kind of crazy. 2018, what is it? We're in March, April?
April,
so
yeah.
I know Avengers hasn't come out yet.
Well, it comes out next week, man.
Yeah.
Or I guess technically this week by the time you're listening to this.
Right.
Yeah.
But so far, we've had like several movies make over $100 million, which used to be box office gold.
Now you got to make $1 billion.
Yeah, but we've only had one movie that's made over $200 million, which is Black Panther, which has made 677 domestic. I know there's world gross, which is actually just as important now. But it's kind of crazy that way. I don't like what's going, like Ready Player One. We never got to talk about it. So total world is almost $500 million. Do you think they're happy with that? Like, do you think like that is
Well, I mean, they're making sequels, aren't they? Yeah. So I guess they're happy with it. I know that this movie, ultimately, it seems like people are either like really enjoying it or they're just okay with it. So like reception-wise, I think it's doing all right. I also heard, I thought the rewatchability for Ready Player One would be really high, but I've heard from people saying like, I went and saw it again and I like absolutely hated it. It was so cringy. I was like, oh. So I don't really know what's going on with this movie.
Yeah, well, Dash watched it again, and he liked it more.
Mm-hmm.
The password, there's some things like, I don't know.
There's some weird things about it. I ultimately think that they did a good job adapting it, because there was no way that they could adapt it the way that it was. There was literally no way. So I think they did a good job with it. I honestly wish they had just made Artemis the main character, though, because Wade was awful. He was like the only thing I didn't like about that movie.
Well, you can't really like Wade's the main character, but
I mean, like, but you could like, they totally changed a lot of the plot. You could have.
I didn't think Wade was awful. I don't know. I was like rooting for him. Why'd you think Wade was awful?
I just felt like, in the book, he knows, obviously they can't do this in a movie, because in the book you can explain things a lot more, and he knows like all the stuff, and it's very clear that like he's the only one who could like do all this stuff. And in the movie, it was presented like that was Artemis, and I felt a lot of the times Wade was just having stuff fed to him, and like, yeah, sure, he was us going through the story, but I felt like he just didn't get to do much.
Yeah, he definitely.
And I felt like Artemis got to do everything.
He got powered down for sure. Like
Oh yeah.
Yes, I didn't really feel like when she was like, "You're the only one that could do this." I was kind of like, "Why? Yeah. Really?"
I didn't feel for him as much as I did in the book either. Like all of his like troubles and stuff, I was like, that's fine. Whereas in the book, like I really did, like he wasn't like a totally likable character, but like you definitely feel for him.
Yeah.
And in the movie, I just didn't really get that as much.
Yeah, I do feel like too. I felt like when faced with, like, I do feel like they took the easy way out to resolve plot things sometimes. Again, with like the password and stuff. Like they were, like,
yeah,
and it was funny, but it's just kind of. Like, it was, like, an easy way out, so.
Well, and, like, all of the characters literally were in Ohio. Like, what are the odds of that?
0. Yeah.
0. But I get why they did it. Like, especially for pacing, all that stuff. But, like, when that happened, I was like, really? They're all here?
Also, too, like, if you're a person who has, like who wants, like, a secret, like, who, like, wants to be hidden, why have, like, distinctive markings on your vehicle?
Yeah.
Right, little things like that. Yeah, I guess so. Like, and people are like, well, it's just a movie, and Steven Spielberg said it's like a movie is supposed to be fun. And it's like, yeah, no, totally. But
and it was fun.
There was just things that were either added or done that if you had really thought about it, you're like, oh, it is kind of it's dumbing it down for no reason. There's no reason to make it so dumb in some respects.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a daunting story. Like, let's be honest. And I'm really happy that they did put in more references that more people would get, and they did make it so that more people could follow along with it. Because in the book, you basically have to understand that, like, you're not going to know what's going on. Like, you're not going to be able to figure anything out for yourself, except for maybe, the quarter, which most people did figure out.
Oh, so.
Well, I had my friend Matthew at work read it too, and he was just like, I know what the quarter is. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. So, but overall, it is just like a fun movie. I feel like I would watch it again and it'd probably just be fun, but I'll always like the book better because it's just so much more in depth, and it's always going to be there. Like, I applaud them for getting the movie out that they did, because they did do a good job with it. But like, there is so much to the story.
I think it could have been a six episode. Like a 6 1-hour episodes.
Yeah, I can maybe see that. I definitely think
12, I guess,
the way they do Stranger Things, they could have done with Ready Player One, and it would have been really popular.
8. Yeah, maybe 8. Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's a need to make everything into movies anymore.
No.
Right? Like, Amazon is buying Lord of the Rings to make the Lord of the Rings books into a series, and people are like, "Oh, that's so stupid," and it's like.
That's actually really smart.
It's great because it is so episodic, and you like think about how much we even lose in the movies. Like Tom Bombadil is completely non-existent, and he's a huge part of the book, and like this like behind the scenes, like the gods are still fighting for things, and the gods are helping, and just things like that, like that, you know, that's going to be probably a couple episodes, you know. So and you know, if I'm reading the Riria Chronicles or the King Killer Chronicles, and they're talking about doing like maybe series and a movie and stuff, and like, yes, because it's so dense. Like how I would explain, like, 'cause I like Name of the Wind, but I'm like way more into Theft of Swords now. And I like Name of the Wind, but Name of the Wind is basically if Lord of the Rings was all about one guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is fine and very cool and very unique.
It would make an interesting TV show though, because it's definitely like episodes.
Exactly, right. It's like, yeah, like he lives like this is him living as a ragamuffin pickpocket, and like this is him, and it would be so like daunting and hard. But as a movie, you would probably get rid of all the stuff that matters.
Oh yeah. You get rid of it. You have to get rid of everything, and it's you have to, because of pacing and all that.
Right. I think I almost think in a lot of ways, like, movies are not the best place for adaptation. I think that adapting,
I don't think so,
books and stories into movies is starting to die, and it's becoming TV series, and should be becoming TV series, and studios should continue to make the money there. Because I'm still
holding out hope for my Percy Jackson series. Like, let's go.
Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, you know, tons of other series, Altered Carbon, are proving that you can make money adapting books into TV series. So I think we should continue to do that. That would be
definitely
crazy thing though. 2018 worldwide gross. You got Black Panther, but the next top two films are full Chinese production films. Operation Red Sea and Detective Chinatown 2. Times are a changin'. That is insane. If I, you know, like, we haven't had that ever, and that's really interesting how much the Chinese market has grown. And hopefully they switch over to like renewable energy sources pretty soon here, because everyone like working at a post industrialism age is going to just be devastating. I'm just kind of like looking at some stuff. A Quiet Place. Don't eat popcorn if you're going to go see A Quiet Place.
God, A Quiet Place is so good. Yeah, you have to see it in the theater.
I didn't know Krasinski directed it too, and wrote it, and then starred with him and his wife in it.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, super cool. What are you expecting, or what do you want out of Avengers Infinity War?
I don't really know if I have anything specific that like I'm expecting or I want, but I definitely want them, for the sake of the franchise, they need to start moving in different directions. I honestly think it would be in their best interest to kill all of their original Avengers, which I don't think they'll ever do, but they need to do something to position them out of the spotlight and push their new characters forward.
Right.
For the sake of the franchise.
And because they've become A-listers, and Marvel has shown that they're great at turning C-listers into A-listers, but once they're A-list, it starts to dwindle. I think there is a point of diminishing returns.
Well, it's starting to get boring. I think you're starting to lose like your just people on the fringes. And they've really churned out some like great stuff with, you know, Black Panther and Spider-Man and all that, and they need to push those forward and start moving away from all of our original cast.
Right. And you obviously, I would say Iron Man doesn't die, and
I'd be okay with him not dying as long as he's not Iron Man anymore.
Well, yeah, right. But he, like, Tony, like, you kind of need the character Tony Stark, because like I think what you'll do is like Thor and Tony Stark are going to always be your kind of glue that like they like pop up and they're like, hi, Silver, I think you should meet Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, and like that would be
like they become like your new, not like Nick Fury, but like that kind of character.
Right. That's weird that he hasn't come back. Like that's crazy. Like he was like in the TV series, he was like, but they like, in the movie verse, he's just still dead. Same with like Carson. Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, I agree. I really, my most important thing though is I want Infinity War not to set up future storylines.
Oh, you know it will though.
I know, but
you know it will.
I want the movie to be focused on the conclusion of the story, and then fourth one we can sacrifice and make it our Age of Ultron that sets up the rest of the storylines in the universe.
I mean that's what I want too, but like it's gonna set things in motion.
It's okay if you get like a Captain Marvel, right? Like if it kind of preps at least one major new character. I'm fine with that. Like again with like Civil War and Black Panther.
Yeah, and like I would love for it not to be like
Spider-Man, I guess.
It kicks off all these other movies, and it's like, oh, well, you kind of need to have watched Infinity War in order for this movie to make sense. But to make Infinity War make sense, you got to watch all these other movies. Like, stop doing that, Marvel. Like, that's not the way to go.
And I think they're going to probably stop doing that. It just will, yeah. It's one of those things. It's like the Avengers movie needs to be. If you watch this, if you follow along to all of it and you watch this one, you're gonna be like, yes. But you can still watch all the individual ones and never see Avengers and still have it all kind of work, right? More insular. Totally. But you can't really. Captain America was so intertwined with Avengers.
Yeah,
for a while
I know.
Here.
It's crazy.
Which is good. Like Thor isn't, and that's what I've really loved about the Thor trilogy. That it's just been its own thing. And it's always been humorous. It's always been kind of fish out of water, which I don't know how, like, they keep doing it. I don't know how they successfully have made, well, they made 2 good fish out of water stories, and then they made Thor Dark World. I actually like a lot of elements of Thor Dark World. I like think the elves are so great. Christopher Eccleston is a Grumpasaurus Rex, and that guy just needs to.
I mean, I could have told you that.
He should just shouldn't make movies because never ask Christopher Eccleston what he what did you think about this movie I really enjoyed, because he's gonna make you cry because he's a jerk face.
Could have told you that. Yeah.
I'm not saying that he hasn't experienced people mistreating him, which he has, or integrity and stuff, but he's a little pretentious and a bit of a grump. Did you ever read some of his quotes about Doctor Who?
I've seen it a little bit. Yeah, he's a little.
Because when I read it, I'm like, oh, what a terrible experience. You're still kind of a jerk, though. You still kind of I wouldn't want to really work with you either.
But then they got Tennant and everything was okay.
Yeah, that's right. He saved the day.
He did.
I love David Tennant so much, but the Matt Smith episodes kind of just
there's something about him.
Yeah, I like the Matt Smith episodes a lot. And then I kind of but then I loved the Doctor after that, but I kind of just I get burnt out with Doctor Who, and then I just
really love the 12th Doctor, but they started suffering. It wasn't him, it was the stories,
right?
And they started to lose people, and it's so unfortunate because I really want to get back into Doctor Who because there's a female Doctor now.
Yes.
But they've really burnt me out because there's just the stories just haven't quite been there, and it's so upsetting. So
right, and that happens with Doctor Who. That's the problem, right? It kind of I would say David Tennant is such a great Doctor that maybe didn't have some of the best episodes, but some of the episodes he had were amazing. But people love that Doctor, but you kind of love the Doctor outside of the quality of those seasons. Li Shang will not, or might not, or I think it's pretty much confirmed that is not going to be in the storyline.
Yes. Which is
for the new Mulan live action.
Yeah.
And there's no singing and dancing. But we've Josh and I talked about how there'll probably still be leitmotif and theme and stuff like that from the score of the movie, and
I totally agree with you. I think that's the way to go. I think they want this movie to be a little bit more dramatic, which is definitely what you should do with Mulan. So there's no reason to bust out into I'll make a man out of you, but to have it in the background is gonna be good.
Yeah.
But
she'll be doing something
oh yeah, but I'm pretty upset about them not doing Li Shang, mostly because the character that they're casting instead of him is not good. Like, this character is supposed to be apparently like a bully and really mean to Mulan, and then when he finds out that she's a girl, suddenly he's gonna fall in love with her. And I'm like, well, how is that better than having Li Shang, who's a bisexual icon? Like, what are we doing, Disney? I don't understand.
Yeah, and so Li Shang,
because that's how they cast the character. Yeah,
yeah. So he's a bisexual icon because he kind of falls in love with Mulan before he knows that she's a woman.
Yeah, everybody, he's known as that because, yeah, you could argue that he falls in love with Ping, and then when he finds out that she's Mulan, like, it still doesn't really make too much of a difference. I don't have to
have that talk with my parents.
Right, yeah, which, after reading Magnus Chase, it's very similar. In Magnus Chase, it's never been explicitly said, but he's obviously a bisexual character because of the Alex Fierro character being gender fluid and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm wondering if Disney just didn't want to address that. But, like, why? It's not a big deal, and they already did it in the original. So I don't know why. I don't understand why you write Li Shang out just to put another love interest in.
Because there's just some weird Disney fans out there that I don't know why they're Disney fans and still so narrow-minded.
But, like, basically, it's already in the original Mulan. I don't get it.
Okay, there's being in it, and then there's like, it is.
I mean, yeah, because
I get it. I never like it is more. There is a bit of more interpretation there. It's kind of like Oaken in Frozen, where how it's like oh family, and if you freeze frame it like the 1 second clip, you'll see that it's a guy and 4 kids. So,
but see, like here's the thing. Why not just not have a love interest at all then?
Right. And I thought that was kind of the way they were going to go when I first read the headline, and then it was like, oh no, we're just going to have
a different one. Yeah.
Like a.
So it's weird.
Like a Raylo situation.
Yeah, it's really weird, but that's okay because Solo is shaping up to be the true live action Mulan, and it has a bisexual icon. So there you go.
Who's that?
Lando.
Is Lando bisexual?
Obviously,
just because he's rocking the most awesome outfits ever.
I need to read page 41 to you, Dale?
I want to read.
Do I?
I want to.
He calls Han baby, and L3 says that he's flirting. Bisexual
really?
Icon.
Oh, interesting. Well, baby. Okay, but from
bisexual icon.
People call
cannot change my mind.
The use of baby, though, in. Yeah, that word.
And he does it with the face. It's just like panties hit the floor. Like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Everything you heard about me is true.
Oh,
feel it. I love Donald Glover. Even though I think if I ever met him, he'd be like, "Nah, I don't like you. Get away from me." I'm like, oh.
I'm so ready to be a Lando stan, man. I'm so ready for this movie.
My friend, she was in like Washington, I think, or L.A. And she was like hanging out with a friend, and this like little kid came up to her and him, and I think they knew that like her friend knew this little kid a bit, and they're like, oh hey, like can you like I'm a like a MC, can I like record your voices for like a mix and stuff? And they're like, oh yeah, sure. And they did it. And he's like, oh cool, thanks, like, and super nice and like super energetic, and it was Donald Glover. And back in the day when he was MC DJ.
Oh,
he was always cracking wise.
Yeah, I'm excited for Saturday Night Live to see him, which by the time this comes out, again, you guys will already have seen.
I'm so excited. 'Cause he's just such a performer. It's going to be kind of, I think it'll be fun to see him be goofy, because he's been like kind of so cool lately.
Yeah.
You know, like, because I don't know what music he's going to perform. I would assume it's from his newest album, but it might not be. It could be some of his more nerdcore rap. Because his like Redbone and those songs, he's Lando Calrissian before he was Lando Calrissian. And he did a performance with his shirt off and black leather pants on like Jimmy Fallon.
God, he is Lando Calrissian.
Yeah, I know. Have you not seen that performance? You have to.
No, all he's missing is a cape, though.
No, right. You need to go on YouTube and like he was on Jimmy Fallon, just like Donald Glover. Redbone, I think was the song, and it's awesome. I was like, he's great. He's my favorite. He's like Yeah. He's like the worst. I would probably say the worst thing that he's done would be his stand-up special, and like it's still good.
And he's gonna be on SNL and do stand-up.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he's
we'll see what happens.
He's phenomenal. So, you're getting kind of your wish. There is a woman second unit director, which is actually huge. Like, people kind of like don't really necessarily know what a second unit director does, but they're often the director who gets all the far back panning shots, and they'll get from like the different angles and character perspectives and things like that. So they're a huge part of the filmmaking process. You see like the movies where like Christopher Nolan's standing there and it's like zoom, he's like, yes, this is perfect. Well, actually, no, like he's probably going to get off of that chair and not be like in the huge swinging swivel chair that usually goes to the second unit director.
Well, and like the whole point is like, even though her name's Victoria Mahoney, she's going to be the second unit director for 9, and even though like it's just the second unit director, like that's so huge though. Like the fact that she's still going to be there, and like they named a female director for it, because it's it's baby steps. Like we're excited for Lucasfilm, but it's baby steps, and it's really big news.
It's not even necessarily like baby steps. It's the proper progression. Like a lot of directors will get starts and things being a second unit, or like you don't just you're not like, all right, here you're Steven Spielberg. Right.
Well, and I will say the only sad thing with this news though is that it did come from the director for Wrinkle in Time, which everybody thought that she was going to be a director for Star Wars, and she did say that has no interest in being part of Star Wars, which is very unfortunate because I think she'd do a really good job with it, but I'm still very excited.
She would do a good job with it, but I'm going to guess that Rian Johnson he's kind of controlling, so he probably will direct his whole entire series. I hope he doesn't, though. I hope he allows... Because that was George Lucas's biggest mistake. George Lucas should have let other people direct the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
And I think Rian Johnson needs to do the same, or he'll go crazy. Like how passionate he was and how into it, let alone trying to navigate an entire saga as the director.
Well, he's just, it's like Carrie Fisher said, he's so vision driven.
Right.
But I could see him still collaborating, and I hope he does, because you're right, it could be the death of him.
Yeah. It could be the death of the saga in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So you can lose your vision. Or your vision's so narrow that you don't see a better approach.
Yeah.
Right. But great directors make bad decisions all the time.
Oh yeah. I'm still very excited. I'm really happy with the choices that they're making right now. I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. It's going to be cool. I don't know. It's a good time. I'm glad that this, that we're getting is starting to we're starting to increase. Is the term like the glass ceiling is breaking?
Something like
hopefully
that.
Hopefully, women aren't being abused and sexually assaulted anymore in the film industry, and they're getting good jobs. Right?
Well, it's still happening.
Yeah,
but, I know. But I will say, like, that news. We found out about that on Tuesday, and that was the day we were getting. Like, that's when Last Shot came out, and we were getting all these spoilers for Last Shot. And, like, I finished the Rogue One novelization that morning, which if you haven't read, please do. It will stab you in the heart, twist the knife, put your heart in a blender with a bunch of glass, and then, like, feed it back to you. Yeah. It's amazing. But then also a friend was finishing A Court of Wings and Ruin, so I had, like, all the feels. And then when that news came out, it was just like, okay, this is, like, the best day. It's great.
That's funny. And then, so, I think... I hate DC so much. But
I love how you're saying that to segue into what the topic is.
It's cool. Here, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what I'm annoyed about. So, Birds of Prey is going to be Harley Quinn's next film, and it snagged a female director. Cool, right?
Yep.
Good stuff.
Kathy Yan, or Yan, however you say it.
Yeah. Harley Quinn is not part of Birds of Prey. You don't need to take Birds of Prey, which at best people would know as a failed TV show, and attach Harley Quinn to it. She has her own thing.
Yeah. I did think that was weird that they decided to do that instead of Gotham City Sirens.
Gotham City Sirens has Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn. How is that not better than remodeling Birds of Prey to be who? Catwoman and Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy? Like, I don't know, man. Like, can we, like, they just aren't getting it. Like,
it's a very weird choice.
The Teen Titans stuff, like, oh my god. God.
Well, and especially because, like with a female director, Gotham City Sirens has so much potential, but instead they're gonna do Birds of Prey.
Right.
So,
and you could say, if you didn't like the title, if you don't like you could still call it like Femme Fatales. You could call it anything. You could call it Suicide Squad. Like, it doesn't matter.
Female Suicide Squad.
Like, you obviously don't care about what the team names are, so you can call it anything. Our animation attack is a little one, but it's an important one. Guillermo del Toro just signed a multi-year contract with DreamWorks. And part of the DreamWorks contract is, one, to invest and confirm and look into continuing to push animation technologies, which is huge and awesome. And something that I'm sure Josh is very excited about. But he's at Dapper Day, so he doesn't know. And the next is also to produce and write and direct animated films. One of the series on Netflix, Troll Hunters, is Guillermo del Toro. But they're going to be directing like a series of different types of films. And some people have speculated that H.P. Lovecraft actually might be the source material they use, kind of like how Disney used Grimm fairy tales as their source material. I think that's a fantastic idea.
That's really cool.
No matter what, if you do some research about H.P. Lovecraft, you're probably not going to like a lot of the things that he may have said or done or his thoughts, but he was a weirdo, and he was pretty clearly weird, so it's kind of...
Yeah, he was a weirdo, but he made some really weird, really cool stories that could be really cool to be his show.
Right, and it's all about, like, sanity and, like, changing of like what we think reality is and how our
so this is kind of like how you get back into like how you've been wanting more Goosebumps type stuff,
right?
Maybe
more family like
family horror,
family horror,
where the kids are murdering the parents, you know, hanging out with the fam.
Yeah, right. No, it's true. Like Ready Player One kind of introduced a bit of it with The Shining. You have a movie which looks really awesome, is The House with a Clock in Its Walls. That's bang on. It's like, ooh, spooky, but like mystery and fun and goosebumpsy and Jack Black. Yay. So
they should really, if they really want a good family horror, they should do The Night Gardener. It's really spooky and scary, and it's awesome, and it gives you all the feels. Yeah.
So that's good, and so we're getting it. I think people are. I think Shape of Water and all the stuff that Guillermo del Toro's been doing is like, people like to be a little scared. They like a little frightened.
They like a little weirdness.
Yeah. So I'm super excited about that. But that's it. That's it today. There's a bunch of like Marvel stuff and theories and things, but I don't want to just like be like, Nerdist said this about the Avengers movie that comes out next week. We'll talk about Avengers when it comes out. It's
going to be a host cube.
And it'll be a host cube. So that's super exciting. Yeah, I'm super excited for that. It's going to be awesome. Yay, all three of us back together. Josh will be able to tell us what happened at Dapper Day, and we're going to have a bit of a host cube, and we're going to be talking about the Avengers Infinity War. So make sure to join us on that. And please, if you're a podcast listener, share the podcast. Share one of your favorite episodes of the podcast. It doesn't have to be the DCC. It could be any of one of the shows. Please do that for us. And, if you've already left a review, you could share that on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you do your thing. It'd be huge for us. It goes a long way. It means a lot to us. And it'll grow our community of people who feel safe to love the things they love. Shannon, thank you so much for coming on the show this week, and I love talking to you about books and everything, because we are...
books and Rilo, man. Yeah, that's my Tumblr. Yeah. That's what I am.
I don't get to fangirl with Josh. Josh is more of like I say something and he stares at me, so it's kind of more fun to have like the fangirling back and forth.
Yeah.
So, with that, I'll see you in a galaxy far, far... I'll see you in a galaxy far, far away. Bye, double hand wave.
Bye.
I love you, Josh.